Joining us now to discuss, former federal prosecutor Shanlon and CNN Shimon Prokopez. What is the biggest question we're waiting to have answered, assuming we get...
Well, it's the defense of Manafort. How far can they go, can his attorneys go in defending Paul Manafort? Certainly on those revelations about collusion and the polling data that he gave to the Russian. It's going to be interesting for me to see whether or not they try to defend him. Certainly politically, publicly, he's taken a lot of heat for this. The president's campaign has taken a lot of heat for this. I want to see if in any way they're going to try to find a way to defend his actions through these court filings.
And they're Manafort's lawyers. Do you expect them to try to help defend the president here? One of the accusations is, why is he giving this polling to the Russians? Could the Russians have used that polling in their internet operation? Or do you think, will they be explicit and say, no, he's trying to do this guy a favor, or no, it's just an old business friend?
They're going to focus on defending Manafort, and they're going to try and push back, but it's really an unfair fight here. I mean, the prosecutor has the full discretion. They have all the evidence. I think actually one of the biggest questions is whether they have gotten better at doing their redactions this time around, that we won't be able to see the specially classified information or confidential information. But it's so hard for the judge to make these determinations. I mean, there is just mountains and mountains of evidence that the special counsel has access to. You can't really do a trial of all that information. Even if they put on witnesses, probably the courtroom would be closed for that. It's just very difficult. The judge tends to have to go with what the prosecution says.
You mentioned the redactions. This is a government document that they filed in this case. It's going to be hard to see on television. I'm going to turn this way. You see this. This is what happens. And there's just throughout. So you're trying to figure out what's going on in the case, and you see this. More lines redacted. In the Manafort case, they made some mistakes in how they formatted the document, so you could see some of them, and that's where we learned about this polling. Paul Manafort's the campaign chairman. In the last filing, it said the same is true with regard to the government's allegation that Mr. Manafort lied about sharing polling data with Mr. Kilmnick related to the 2016 presidential campaign. Why is that so important?
Because that goes to the heart of the collusion, I think, in terms of the special counsel's investigation. There are people who think that the Kilmnick fact, this person that he shared, that Manafort shared the polling data with, could be the collusion in this entire investigation. And if that theory holds up, it's going to be problematic, obviously, for the campaign, for the president. So I think Manafort's attorneys have a different view of this, probably, about what was going on here. So that's why I'm wondering if somehow they need to get this out there. And they probably can't right now, but I think they may try to somehow. It's very important, I think, for the special counsel's investigation, this aspect of the sharing of the polling data.
And put yourself in their shoes. Your client is convicted. Then he cuts a plea deal to cooperate. Then the government says, we've caught you lying repeatedly when you're supposed to be cooperating with us. How do you get out of that box?
You try and establish some sympathy for the client. He's an older person, volumes of information, terrible pressure, and you already got him on all this stuff. How much worse are you going to make it for him? So cut him a break, Judge. He made some mistakes. We'll
see if on Friday the judge said they may be able to call witnesses when Manafort's actually in court. We may have a little mini trial here on Friday.
On Friday. So it's an interesting week. And again, you look at the question of Paul Manafort, and then the bigger question is, how does it impact the campaign itself and the president? We're learning little bits as we go. We'll see if part of that filing comes out. Thanks for joining us.